Monday, October 10th, 2022 regular meeting of the Paris City Council is hereby called to order at 5:30 p.m. For the purpose of this meeting, there is a quorum of the council present. Item number 2, Mr. Gene Anderson will deliver the invocation, and item 3, the Pledge of Allegiance, will be led by Mayor Pro Tem Hughes. Please rise.
May we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you for every blessing, and we're amazed at all that you do for us and how you intercede for us, and we would pray that you would continue to do that. We especially pray for our council members tonight as they make decisions, Father, that affect the city so much. Give them guidance and understanding, and might they make the decisions that would be pleasing in your sight. For I ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Item number 4 is a presentation of the Mayor's Yard of the Month Awards. I will call the award winners up one at a time, please. Thank you. The first winner is First Federal Community Bank on the Loop, and I don't believe I see anyone from there. They've been at work all day. And winner number 2 is Tim and Lene Hernandez on 2365 Wildwood, and that is in my district. Thank you.
Janice is going to get your picture right over there.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Winner number 3 is Bing and Myrna Tong from District 3. Mr. Savage, would you like to come down too? Congratulations. Next winner is Jay and Rochelle Hodge on Stacy Lane, and Councilmember Pilgrim is not there, but I'm proud to present it. Look 'em horns. And the next winner is the commercial rehab. The best kept spa is Steve and Carrie AC, and I don't see them here. But all beautiful properties, and we appreciate the pride our citizens are showing in their property.
First Federal didn't show up.
Item B is the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city council members or employees, as well as individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for Citizens Forum. If necessary, the City Council may convene into executive session under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code regarding any item on this agenda. The public forum is now open. If there is anyone who wishes to address the council, please come forward. Seeing none, the Citizens Forum is now closed. Next item is the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are approved by a single action of the council, with such approval applicable to all items appearing on the consent agenda. A council member may request any item to be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. Does any member wish to remove an item? Seeing none, I'll hear a motion to approve all items.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 8, receive presentation about credit access businesses and provide direction to staff. Mr. Vine, you have a presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, good evening. On August 12th, earlier this year, Mayor Pro Tem and several staff members attended a poverty task force meeting here at the hospital. And during that presentation, we were able to hear how some cities are forming ordinances that regulate credit access businesses. And in September, the mayor put in a request that this be brought to all the council members. So this evening, we're fortunate enough to have Ms. Jenny Wilson, the Executive Director of United Way of Lamar County, and Ann Bador, Director of Fair Financial Services Project with Texas Appleseed, and they're going to give us a brief presentation on payday and car title lending reform. And then
Thank you.
afterwards, we'll be back up.
All right, thank you. Welcome.
Good evening. So I'm Jenny Wilson. I'm the Executive Director at the United Way of Lamar County. And I want to start by saying thank you for putting this on the agenda tonight. We feel like this is a very important issue and one that we've been fighting for at the United Way for a while. So just to give a little background, in the spring, the United Way formed a poverty task force, and it soon became apparent to all the members there that this was issue number one. And so we reached out to Texas Appleseed, and Ann Bador came and gave a wonderful presentation that Mr. Vine mentioned on August 12th. I have to say, first though, Mr. Darrell Bowles, who many of you know, who now runs City Square, he went to the Reno City Council back in the summer, and they have already passed this ordinance, which is very exciting, because one of the things we were worried about is that if we passed an ordinance on the car title loans and the payday lenders on Lamar Avenue, that they might just move down the street, just down Lamar Road into Reno. So, but I also want to say, sometimes there's a misunderstanding with these ordinances that we're trying to shut down a business, and that is not true. This would just regulate. We see every day at the United Way office, as you know, because you help fund us, many families who come in needing help with their utilities and their rent. And many of these families have been caught in this vicious trap and cycle of these loans. So I wanted to just come and lend that community voice to let you know that this is something that was very grassroots, that came out of leaders of the nonprofit in our community. And I am not the expert, and that is why we have Ann Bador here. And so I will, at the end, answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Ms. Bador, glad you're here.
Thank you so much, and I'm really excited to have a second opportunity to come back to Paris, and it was great to meet you, Mayor Portugal, Mayor Pro Tem Hughes, and other members of the community to talk about the issue of payday and auto title lending. So I'm going to start with just a brief overview of the issue in case you haven't had any experience with these kinds of loans directly. I think that a lot of people see the stores, you drive by them, but for people who haven't stopped in, it's not always clear what they sell. So these are generally quick cash loans due in 2 weeks to 6 months. They often carry balloon payments with many times the principal due in just one lump sum payments. So because people can't afford that huge payment, they end up getting trapped in a cycle of debt, paying fee after fee after fee, and never making progress on actually paying the loan back. And so how much do these loans cost folks? Well, a lot of people think that we have usury laws in Texas, and actually we do. The Texas Constitution has a 10% usury cap. The way these businesses are able to charge 200 to 500% APR on these loans is by acting as loan arrangers. And so the direct lender charges 10%, and then they charge a fee of 20 to 30% often of the loan principal every payment, so every 2 weeks usually. So people end up over, if you annualize that, paying basically 2 to 5 times the amount they borrowed if they're successful in repaying it in the designated loan term. So this is just data for 2019 from the state of Texas. The average person who borrowed, just averaging, borrowed $1,044 and paid back $2,408 in these very short periods of time. That's kind of the average of how these loans play out for people. So this is just to see, what do these loans actually look like? I said 2 to 500% APR. So you can see here the loan amount for a $200 loan. The fee, the brokerage fee, would be $600 for a total repayment over 12 biweekly payments, resulting in $804.91, an APR of 846.16%. And you can go down the different loan amounts to see how that plays out. So what does this mean for the state of Texas? This is data over a 9-year period from 2012 when they first started collecting data to 2019. $16.1 billion in fees were collected, over 370,000 cars repossessed, and these are cars that were owned, paid in full before they were repossessed. For many families, especially financially struggling families, a car is like the only asset they have. And can you imagine living in Paris, Texas, or in some of the surrounding communities and not having a car? It's pretty dismal. I'll just share a personal story because it came to me and it was very impactful. A woman contacted me recently asking for help, and she said, she took out a car title loan in a time of need, and she was just ready to give up on life because she was paying fee after fee after fee and couldn't get ahead. She just couldn't get ahead. She borrowed $7,000 on her car, which it must have been a valuable car, but with the fees on that loan, people are usually paying $700-800 a month just in fees. And so you can see how in the moment she needed money, it helped her out, but it was so damaging that there's a better way to serve the needs of communities than these kinds of loans that are a trap that really keep people in debt and often lead to a lot of despair when people struggle. Just a final statistic, this is based on some national data, that of people who had monthly payments, 58% were people getting some kind of public benefit, Social Security disability income, other kinds of monthly benefits. So this is a map of Paris, Texas, and where these stores are located. These are the licensed, on the agenda it said a credit access business, because that's how these entities are named in Texas law. And so this is where those licensed entities are located in Paris. On average, each store, and this is just averaging the statewide data, charges $1.1 million in loan fees and repossesses 22 cars every year. So that, would be, 220 local families losing their car on average in Paris. So where does the money go? Well, a lot of these stores are based out of state, and so this is for the storefronts that exist in Paris, Texas. You can see there are a few that have headquarters in the DFW area, but most of them, there's Cincinnati, there's Atlanta, Savannah, Georgia, and other communities, and so it's taking money from the community and taking it outside. And so it's not even building the local community to the extent that a loan like this could have that effect, that all the money is being taken out. So what are the solutions? Policy reforms are definitely important. Having a fair baseline in the market. We've seen many states have taken affirmative action to address this problem. In Texas, it's kind of been a standstill, and I'll talk a little bit about that on the next slide. But policy reforms make a difference and are an important piece of the equation, but they're not the only piece, and I think that Jenny will talk to some of these other issues just in closing the comments. It's important to have better loan products because people do need access to emergency cash from time to time, and there are different credit unions, some banks have created small dollar loan programs, and there are ways the community can come together to make sure that people can access money in a pinch, because people do have those needs, and so it's important to have better products. And then the final thing is financial empowerment services. There are financial coaching, financial counseling, benefits that people may pay out to people to help them get food, pay their utilities. These are all things that are an important piece of the equation so that we can start to help families build, as opposed to having the system constantly suck money out of their budgets but not do anything to actually build wealth for families and help families find stability. So, talking about the city ordinance, because this is a movement that's now been building in Texas for a decade. The first ordinance was passed in the city of Dallas in 2011, went into effect in 2012, and now, a decade later, 47 Texas cities have adopted these ordinances. It spans from Midland, Bryan, College Station, Waco, Hewlett, Bedford, I believe DeSoto's on that list, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, El Paso, Fort Worth, all the major cities, but it's major cities, it's smaller cities, and you can see from the map it's all over the state of Texas. What do these ordinances do? They do some basic things. It limits the size of the payday or auto title loan based on the borrower's income. It limits renewals or rollovers of payday and auto title loans to just 4 total payments. So these can't go on forever. There's just a hard beginning, a hard end, and each payment has to reduce the principal owed by 25%. So that's the gist of the ordinances and what they include. And the idea behind that is to address the cycle of debt, so that people, when they go in with their eyes open, not looking at a payment that may seem affordable, but is actually not paying down the loan, but actually looking at something that realistically says, okay, if you take this loan out, this is what you have to pay to get out of this loan in a reasonable period of time. There's also a new version of the ordinance. So the original Dallas ordinance was adopted in 2012, and there were some loopholes that the businesses exploited to get around that 4-payment limitation and the 25% principal repayment. So the cities of Austin and Dallas have adopted a new version of the ordinance that tightens things up so that they can't get around those parameters. It also addresses a new product, so the businesses tried to get around licensing it all at the state level by creating a totally new loan product under something called the Credit Services Organization Act in Texas, where they don't have to be licensed. So a credit access business is also a credit services organization, but they are licensed by the Consumer Credit Commissioner. So, but they have created a new product outside of that licensing, and so the Austin and Dallas ordinances also address that new product and bring it into line with the other standards. So that gives you a sense of what a lot of cities have done. There is some litigation on the new version of the ordinance. Just for you all to know, the cities of Austin and Dallas have been sued, and that's pending right now. One and so one is in federal court, one in state court, and so we don't yet know how that will all play out. But overall, these ordinances have been in effect for, like I said, for a decade. And we've done some studies at Texas Appleseed and have found that it's made a meaningful difference. It hasn't reduced access to credit, but it has reduced costs and the people losing their cars, which are 2 top-line metrics that are really important to see. And so with that, I'll turn it back over to Jenny, who can talk a little bit about some of the local initiatives going on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. I do want to let you know that the United Way has had financial literacy classes for the past 5 years. That's something that we probably need to do even more of. And we are committed, if you should decide to pass an ordinance, to be a part of the educational campaign. It will be important to allow the people, especially the people that we work with and our partner agencies work with, to let them know what the ordinance says, how to make a complaint, and also really letting them know what some other options are, like our rent and utility assistance program. We really believe that this will help those living in poverty in our community. But the flip side is we really think it's going to help our business community too. As Ann mentioned, this is a lot of money leaving our town. This is not local money. And when people are paying these fees, they're not spending money at our local restaurants or our local retailers. And that's important to us too, because the United Way and all the nonprofits depend upon our local business community. So I thank you so much for listening to Ann and I this evening, especially Ann. And I do hope that this is something in the future that you will take a vote on. So thank you so much. Do any of you have any questions?
Yes, just briefly, what are some of the regulations? Because I didn't see any of the regulations. Can you just tell offhand?
So do you mean what's included in the ordinance or
Yes,
what the state
yes,
regulations are?
yes.
Yeah, so there, generally, the business would have to register with the city. The size of the loan is limited based on the borrower's income. So for a payday loan, it's 20% of the borrower's gross monthly income. For an auto title loan, it's 3% of the gross annual income. And those actually capture the averages on the loan size for these products, more or less. Then the refinances are limited, so if it's a single payment loan, so these are offered either as single payment where the whole payment, it's due in 2 weeks in one payment, which is a old-fashioned payday loan, what people think of, but now they also have installments. So either way, a person can only be indebted for 4 payments.
Yeah. So how is it monitored? How do we ensure regulation if something is passed?
So cities have done this in different ways. Some cities do it as a complaint-based model. So if people, citizens who have had this experience complain, and it can be a code enforcement or however the city enforces ordinances, then that would be grounds for an investigation. Or there can also be periodic examinations. Just
By who?
by the city.
Okay, so the city would, in effect, be monitoring this if nobody complained or turned in any of those businesses, right?
Yeah, so it's just like different cities have done it in different ways. I think the city of Austin has been the most proactive in going in and examining locations. I believe other cities like Dallas and San Antonio, Houston, but also a lot of the smaller cities have a complaint-based model where if somebody complains, then that would be a trigger for the code enforcement or the enforcement department of the city to go in and examine.
Yeah, and if someone already had a payday loan, just say if we adopted this policy or this ordinance, and someone already had a payday loan, and you know how you re-op, you know, you go back and you don't really start the contract over, you re-op. Would the new regulations apply to somebody, you know, just re-opping their loan?
Generally, it's not retroactive. So, but if the re-upping was a new contract, then it would apply to that new contract moving forward. If it were already an existing contract that had multiple payments built in, then it would not apply. That's been the experience, that generally they're forward-looking as opposed to retroactive.
And I guess this question would be for Jenny. I know you said there were already classes in place, you know, debt management and things like that. Do we also have options for people? Because, you know, if whatever the reason is, you know, when people are looking for loans, need money, do we have, and you said we might have other options for them. Have we talked to businesses about those options? Because we're maybe, in a sense, taking away to help people, but, you know, they need options.
Exactly. So when they came this summer, we also have a representative from the East Texas Human Needs Network. I think I got that right. They're exploring this over in the Tyler Longview area. And they talked about starting a nonprofit community lender. So I think that that's a very interesting option to explore. We do have some great family foundations here who maybe would plant some seed money to help that. And that would be run as a nonprofit, but again, with a lot of the regulations that banks already have, right? Banks already have all these regulations. And so that would be another option. But, and I know Ann said I'm stealing this from you in August, but I love this. Anyone who still wants the product has access to the product. We are not limiting anyone's access. We're just trying to protect them. And truly, it is those living in poverty or just above the poverty line who are most impacted by these loans.
Yeah. And so you said, when did you say Reno adopted this ordinance?
A few weeks ago.
Oh, it's just a few weeks
Yeah.
ago. So my question was, what success have they had with it? But it's only a few weeks ago.
So they currently don't have any of the businesses. So they did it as a protection so that they wouldn't move down Lamar Avenue. But we're very excited that they did that.
And that's the next point. You know, if we adopted these ordinances, what would keep them from going into Lamar County? You know, going out in the county and starting these same business. So have we thought about talking to the county about some of these same issues?
So when I originally contacted Texas Appleseed, which was about 4 or 5 years, a long time ago, many years ago, they actually were able to pull up a map like Ann showed you, and they really looked at the county and how rural the rest of the county was, and that would be very atypical for these businesses to move, way out in Honey Grove where there was not any other commerce. Is that correct, Ann?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important that there's no perfect 100% solution, but this is a step, and it's a step that builds with the community services, creating better options in the community. I mean, it would be possible for businesses to move out in the county. It's not something that we've seen in other locales. And I'm also happy to share with the City Council the analysis that we did of the impact of the ordinances, because what it showed is that people who wanted access to the products were able to continue to access them. There were just better outcomes in the data.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
So I'd be happy to share that. And it's important because it doesn't, for the component that addresses credit access businesses, it doesn't affect how much they can still, I mean, because of certain things in state law, for credit access businesses, it's unlikely that it would pass muster to control their fee charges. And so it doesn't touch the amount of fees. I mean, they can continue to charge those fees. What it does is it touches the cycle of debt so that people don't get caught in that cycle where they're re-upping and re-upping and re-upping and just never making progress toward actually getting out of debt. So that's the goal of the ordinance and how it's structured. But these businesses continue to exist in Austin and Dallas and San Antonio and in Waco and other communities that have adopted this ordinance.
Okay, and I don't know if anybody else has seen it, but I'd like to see an example of the ordinance if we could get that, please.
I believe Reno passed a version of the Austin ordinance, and that's, if we chose to go this route, we could make our own tweaks to it.
Well, that was my next question. Is it something that you can customize, if the law allows, or is it something that's pretty generic or general?
Well, I think every city council can make the choices or determinations based on the advice of your city attorneys. There's sort of a standard, and the Texas Municipal League has on their website a version of the ordinance, and that's more or less the first ordinance that Dallas adopted. There are some cities like Austin, when they first adopted the ordinance, they required information about financial education and community services to be included and disclosed as part of the each of these store locations had to include that. The city of San Antonio required that contracts be available in the language that it was negotiated. So they have a lot of Spanish-speaking residents, and oftentimes people don't get a contract that they can understand. That may not be an issue here in Paris, but every communities have created different tweaks that reflect the local community and local situation. So I think that's definitely an option, but generally, in terms of the regulatory portion of the ordinance, it's consistent across the different municipalities.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have a question, but I just want to say I got a quick comment. Jenny and I have spoken on this matter a few times now, and I really want to say I really appreciate you guys taking your time out to really help these individuals. I think that we really need to advocate for this from a council position. I'm definitely in support. And quite frankly, being affiliated with the United Way, I've learned that there's so many people that don't even have, just regular bank accounts. So, which is sad, so financial literacy is absolutely one of the most important things we need to put out there for our community. And so I highly advocate for that. I don't know if there's some way that the city can tie into that and maybe have our own. I know we're already strapped with all the stuff that we've got going on, but boy, we really got to look out for our citizens, and I just feel like a lot of people are getting duped here, left and right, and as, bills and utilities and everything else is getting higher and higher and higher, we've really got to look out for our finances from bottom to the top and make sure that we're all looking out for each other. So I just appreciate your efforts, and I want to see it go through.
Thank you. And just to also add a plug for the National League of Cities and an organization called Cities for Financial Empowerment have built out a lot of city-based strategies to support communities. And so I just wanted to put that out there as well, that's a resource that's available, and sometimes they make grant funding available to cities to offer things like financial coaching and other services. And there are a number of cities in Texas that participate.
I wish we could do that for rent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more
Thank you very much.
questions? Good, thank you. All right. Council, you want to give staff some direction? I'm hearing that we want to go forward with looking at some ordinances and let staff guide us on that.
Yes, after the wonderful presentation by Jenny and Ann, staff is at the ready to work towards an ordinance if council so directs us to.
I think that would be great, but I think the other thing is seeing the litigation that's going on, maybe it's favorable to look at what's already established and that's already been, I guess, tried and true
Yes.
versus what's in litigation right now.
Yes.
And maybe getting a couple of samples from other cities and their ordinance, not just Austin, but maybe a variety if we can, just to read over and see what are the nuances, what are the differences.
Staff will definitely take as much information as we possibly can from Texas Appleseed to make recommendation to bring back to the council.
So did Reno adopt the policy that Dallas adopted in 2011, or did they adopt the policy that, that's in litigation right now with all the nuances? Huh?
Which I believe it's the Austin version, which is currently in litigation.
Austin, okay, thank you.
All right. That's what you need from us?
That's what
Okay.
I'm assuming you just gave us direction, yes.
Yes.
Do we need to make a motion?
No, it doesn't say act, just give staff our recommendation.
We have our marching orders then.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vine. Item number 9, discuss and act on an increase in the City of Paris's monthly health insurance contribution by $30 a month per employee from $565 a month to $595 a month per employee, effective January 1st, 2023. Mr. Path, you have a presentation?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, members of City Council. We have an item here for you. As you saw in your packets here, I'm not going to read through it all word for word here, but as you know, the City of Paris is a member of the TML, Texas Municipal League Health Benefits Pool. For those who are familiar with the health insurance world, cities, they do a lot of variety of things. Some just do private insurance through Blue Cross or so forth, but we as Paris have teamed up with over 980 other Texas municipalities and local governments to form a pool. This is a tried and true method of managing health insurance costs. My last employer in Nebraska City, we were not part of a pool. We were actively seeking to become a pool, given the rates we were experiencing increases there in Nebraska City. But with this, though, no pool or private service is exempt from seeing rate increases across the health insurance field, particularly with COVID-19. A little bit of history, a little bit of information for the council. We currently offer 4 separate plans for our employees. We call them A, B, C, and D. Within those plans, you can select either employee only, employee child, employee spouse, or employee family. Those are your 4 options within A, B, and C, and D. The difference between A, B, and C, and D is a difference of cost for monthly premium, offset by the cost for in and out network deductibles and maximum out-of-pocket expenses. If you pay a more expensive monthly premium, you have lower deductibles. But if you pay a lesser monthly premium, you have higher deductibles. And that's for the employees to decide for themselves which kind of risk do they want to take. Employees make decisions based off their own health needs, based off what they foresee to be medical needs in the future. I know with my family, when we started our family, we foresaw birth costs, so we took a plan based off that in mind. So we provide the employees those options. The city itself contributes $565 per month per employee under the plan to go towards their premiums. That historically, now we've increased that over the years. So we've not the last couple of years because we've been focusing on employee pay and retirement changes. It has been my plan to address health insurance in the upcoming year, and I'll get to this more about the rate increases we saw this upcoming year. But we have historically attempted to provide a monthly contribution that's enough to cover an employee-only plan for C and D. That way, if employees so choose, they can have a 100% covered policy for employee only. As you see in the table there in your notes, we have about 70% of our employees are under employees plan C and D for employee only. So they have taken advantage of having that 100% paid by the city coverage there. Unfortunately, TML notified us here a few weeks ago that because of COVID-19 expenses and so forth, they are looking at a 16% rate increase in 2023. We did not foresee that. In your packets there, we provide you a table that provides the historical increase that we've seen. In 2022 it was a 4%, 2021 was a 4%, 4.27 to 5% the year before that. So we were not foreseeing a 16% increase, and that is on me. I apologize for that. We will try to work a little harder next year to try to work on estimating those things in the future. But with that, because of that increase, and since the city provides a fixed amount per month, the entire 60% is being borne by the employees this upcoming January 1st for the whole calendar year next year. And so with that, the 16% will now remove Plan C's employee only from being fully funded. That is now just creeped beyond that point. So we only have one plan with employee only that has a fully funded option there. So again, we have tried to always historically provide the employees at least two plans that have an employee only fully funded, but that is now changing with the 60% rate increase. So with that, we would like to seek an option here to try to get us back to providing two plans with fully funded for employee only. Doing the math, and I provided you the information in my packet here, doing the math, looking at vacant positions, we've budgeted, given historical trends on when we're going to hire positions, fill vacancies, given also our typical turnover. I've estimated a certain amount of money to work against in order to see how much, if we were to give a certain increase in the $565 per month, can we handle that in the budget? If we were to add $30 per month per employee, that would get us back to having two fully funded employee-only options. That would be approximately $85,000 to $95,000 per year, which is well within my estimates to be able to handle within our budget. Now, also, I'm trying to be very conservative. We do have a balanced budget, and we do utilize some excess in salary because of vacancies to handle unexpected expenses. But I do feel that this is a justifiable change to make for our employees, and I do feel it's well within the conservative estimates I have made that we can handle this plus do our business for the city. So, but then what my goal would be at the next fiscal year cycle, when the budget's opened up again, and I can have more room to maneuver numbers easier in order to make things work, I can then look at a more substantial increase in order to keep ahead of these increases for health insurance for our employees. So with this, I would recommend and request that we increase the city's contribution from $565 to $595 per month, beginning January 1st, when the rate goes up for the employees, which is about a $30 per month increase. And I'll answer any questions the council has about this.
Well, I think we certainly want to take care of our most valuable resources, our employees, my opinion. What's everybody else think?
I agree, and I think that it's definitely important we look at this for next year's budget and just make sure that we're
Yep.
even, but so would we need a budget amendment on this, or?
We do budget amendments whenever we look like we're going to exceed departments. So we'll be
Okay.
doing that a year from now when we look at budgets. So, and the goal would be to be able to add this and still come in under another lines to where we don't have to amend the overall departmental budget. That'd be the goal.
If it makes you feel any better, for our company, we do the same thing. Ours came back 30% higher.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
yeah. My last
Trust me, I
employer,
get it.
when we were bidding out insurance for private network, we were seeing 20-30% increases every year. It was ridiculous. So when I left that community, we were in the process of looking at creating a pool in eastern Nebraska. So coming here was a much welcome change, seeing one that had already been formed.
yeah. Well, I concur, and I support this. I don't think we really have much of an option. I think we need to do it.
Did TML get this rate increase to you late?
No, this is about the time that they get them, and so what I need to do better in the future is I need to be pestering them more earlier. So this is same in Nebraska. Theirs is also a January 1st time period where I came from. So I had to start just pestering in the summer. What do you think it's going to be? I know you can't give me an exact number, but are we talking 4%? We're talking 20%. Give me an idea there, and I just have not done that this last year. So I'm going to be adding it to my list of things to work on next process.
Pester harder.
I will definitely do that. So.
All right. All right, any more discussion? I'll hear a motion.
I move that we approve the increase in the City of Paris monthly health insurance contribution by $30 per month per employee from $565 per month per employee to $595 per month per employee to take effect 1st of January 2023.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 10, presentation of bids for the wastewater treatment plant project and potential utility rate increases necessary to support the project. Mr. Path?
All right. I have Lance Garver with me tonight. We'll be tag teaming the presentation tonight, but I will start and then I'll turn over to Lance and then I'll finish up with afterwards. As you'll recall, on July 25th, I brought to the council information that we were foreseeing some cost increases in the market for our wastewater treatment plant project. We then received, opened, and reviewed bids for that project. Now, to provide some historical context, we started this about 2 years ago, and so this has been a long-term project. At the time, we were estimating a total project cost of about $60 to $70 million. That was Phase 1 and Phase 2 combined. I'm going to say this a couple times. If we had done this project several years before this, when we had an opportunity, it would have been less than that. But because of arbitrage issues with the IRS, and also in order to ease the rate increases to our residents, we took out a $45 million bond as a Phase 1 for the project. Then we working with our financial advisors, we crafted a strategic approach for rate increases to stair step while still being able to cash flow our debt payments as it came in, because once you take out a bond, debt payments must start pretty instantaneously, even though we're not turning dirt yet. And so we have to be able to pay our bills for engineering and other costs with that. So, but also too, that was to help acclimate ratepayers to the increases. Instead of having one large cliff climb, we'd have stair steps to that ultimate goal. That was projected to take about 4 years, from 2020 to about 6 years, 2020, 2026, in order to complete. And with that, with that, the rate increases, they were working up to this point here under the current plan. The increases were funding the bonds adequately. But then we opened bids on September 8th, 2022, as Mr. Clement will discuss. We only had 2 bids turn in, unfortunately, and they were much higher in cost than we expected. Garver Engineering will provide a presentation tonight that explains the bidding process, the review process, the analysis of the bids, working with city staff and the lowest bidder to negotiate final pricing, and the reasons for why the bids are higher than expected and the timeline going forward. I will now turn over to Mr. Lance, and then I'll come back and finish up the presentation. So.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, good evening, council. I really appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to present this to you and to talk through the reasonings behind the higher bid prices like Grayson referred to. I wanted to start with progress to date, primarily for the audience. The project schedule has been on track. From a council approval of February 2021, we received the notice to proceed on design in February, and we continued through design with a goal of a Phase 1 bid advertisement in June of 2022, and we were able to hit that date. So successfully completed design. Throughout design, we had a lot of city staff that were heavily engaged in the design. This wasn't us working in a vacuum, and I know I've presented to y'all on several times the concepts that we're working through to make sure that we are not designing a Cadillac, that we are designing a functional treatment plant that can meet effluent limits. So our entire goal the whole time is to not put a lot of bells and whistles on this project. Let's make sure that this is affordable and gets the treatment plant staff what they need. We opened bids September 8th, 2022. We had several rounds of pre-qualification, advertisement, and notices prior to that bid advertisement. I'll talk you through what that bidding process looks like. So we followed these steps. We advertised for pre-qualification, so we wanted to be sure that we could hire a contractor that could actually construct this plant. Had we not gone through that pre-qualification process, we may have gotten out-of-state contractors or ones that were not qualified to do the job, which would have made it much more difficult to disqualify those contractors. So we wanted to ensure we were getting a quality contractor on site to avoid potential issues down the road or higher bid prices after they started construction. We reviewed those packets, we notified the contractors, we advertised for construction bids, and then after we advertised, we opened and evaluated bids from those pre-qualified contractors. The packets to pre-qualify those contractors required them to list ongoing projects. We were looking for construction experience with at least one project larger than 5 MGD, which would qualify them in the range of size of treatment plant, and one project at least $20 million. We looked for reference checks, personnel experience and management plans, a history of change orders, and insurance requirements and bonding capacity. We graded, reference checked, and qualified contractors were notified. Out of the 7 contractors that we received packets for, 5 of those were pre-qualified. So we felt like we had a good pool going into the bidding period of 5 qualified contractors. The project was advertised on Civcast, which is a nationwide plan room. So this is the primary plan room within the state of Texas for advertising these size of projects. And you can see, I'll show you on the next slide, we actually had 274 plan holders, which was a good indication that this was heavily advertised. Many people in the industry were aware of this project. So our bid results, heading into bid day, we knew that market cost had increased construction estimates since the beginning of the project. I'll show you a graph of what the OPCCs, or the opinion of probable construction costs, look like leading into May of 2022. As Grayson had alluded to, we had increased our estimates as we went through design of the project. We also worked with your staff to identify several alternatives on bid day that, depending on how those costs come in, the city could choose to accept. Those totaled approximately $6.4 million, and we were hopeful those alternatives would get us back to the anticipated budget of $38.6 million. We also approached the project with a value engineering mindset. So, as I alluded to earlier, we were using less costly materials that would still provide the anticipated purpose for their use. We looked at multiple manufacturers within the design. We looked at the deductible alternates to provide flexibility on bid day, allowing multiple pipe material types. And then we also developed a site plan to reduce excess excavation. So we were looking at it from all angles going into bid day. How can we keep this the most affordable and limit these bid prices? We did answer 84 questions. We posted 8 addendum, and as I mentioned earlier, we had 274 plan holders. So through that process, at one point, we became notified that we were likely only going to receive one bid. And so by postponing that bid date several times, we were able to recapture one of the interested bidders. So that was a success. Bids were opened and evaluated. The as-read bid results are shown below. As Grayson mentioned, we received 2 bids, the lowest being Thel Construction. Unfortunately, that bid did come in significantly over budget at $66,143,950. which we immediately began coordination with the city. What are our options moving forward to either re-advertise the project or work with the apparent low bidder on their pricing? Now, several factors are affecting the current construction bid prices. First, high inflation. So you've seen the adjusted inflation reports coming out from the government over the several previous months. We saw that play out on bid day, unfortunately. There's also significant supply shortages affecting steel and concrete prices. There are significant concrete shortages throughout the state of Texas right now. And so because there's a limited amount of those concrete components, contractors are escalating those prices. We also saw long lead items on critical equipment. Whenever a contractor sees that it's going to be multiple months before equipment can be delivered on site, they often price that risk into their project. So say for a metal building, if they know they won't build that metal building until late in the project, they'll price that in on bid day. Also, we only received 2 out of those 5 bidders. More bidders means more competitive bidding. And lastly, inflated labor costs. We've heard from multiple contractors this summer that inflated labor costs are contributing a significant portion of that escalation. Market conditions are affecting bid prices in many areas of the region. We wanted to show that, unfortunately, this is not a single example of escalated bid prices throughout the state. Here we're showing you multiple projects that not just Garver but other consultants are dealing with across the state. You can see budgets of $65 million, actual bid results of $74.3 for a Northwest Arkansas project. A significant one in Dallas for a water plant, budgeted at $135, came in at $237. Southern Dallas, you can see we just bid September of 2022. That one was budgeted at $44, actual $53 million. So unfortunately, this is the story of our industry over the course of the previous summer. We are working with Dale and Paris staff to reduce project costs. So we have not sat on our hands since we received those bids a month ago. We've been working in hand with your staff. There's a group of probably 20 to 30 individuals working on this project right now to reduce these bid prices. That includes your own staff. They've done an excellent job working with us to identify any items at all that we can value engineer from that bid. We're also working with them to determine, out of those price cuts that we can employ, which one of those are deal breakers that would affect their treatment on site. So looking forward, we're value engineering. We anticipate, and I know Grayson will speak to this, coming to the next council meeting with a proposed final budget cost and a recommendation of award. Assuming we proceed with the notice to proceed to the contractor, we are still on track for a fall 2024 construction completion, so still holding to the original timeline. And then there is still phase 2 on the horizon. We're looking notice to proceed after we know which items would be included in phase 1. Obviously, we'll be taking a hard look at phase 2 from a value engineering perspective to determine what costs we can reduce there to get back to the overall program budget. With that, any questions, or Grayson, would you like to open it up for questions at this point?
Yeah, if you have any from Lamb particularly.
Questions or discussion, council? Excellent job. And you're spending more time with this council, Lance, than you are with your family, I'm afraid. We appreciate it.
It's extremely important to us. We understand every dollar counts on this project, so we are making it our highest priority.
Thank you. And staff that's working with you, too.
So with this, the unfortunate news is we are looking at, obviously, we are trying to work to bring that price down a little bit, but we are estimating a need for another $26 million bond in order to fund phase 1 for this project. Obviously, this will have a rate increase associated with that in order to cash flow our debt for this project. I do want to emphasize that this is a needed project. This project must happen. So we've all toured the facility. We've seen the condition of the facility. We know what has to happen. Again, delaying the project it's not an option. We've seen what happens, unfortunately, when we delay this project. If we had done this project several years ago, we would not be in the situation today. Again, different factors at the time, I appreciate that, but we are where we're at today, unfortunately. And so we did look at trying to rebid it in this time around, but doing our research, talking to Garver and other engineering firms, and again, just doing your own searches online, the market is not going down anytime soon. And so, in fact, we still see, and again, I'm not an economist, but we still see things going up the next few months, if not next 12 months or so. So rebidding it could come back higher, and we could lose some bidders here. I mean, it's typical. Once you reveal the bid for a contractor, and then you decide to rebid, and you can expect them to bow out, and so because you've displayed their hand to everyone else, and so I am afraid. Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but I am afraid that if we were to rebid, things will get worse if we don't act on this now. So this is a challenging issue for us, but I do think the next step is on Monday, 24th, 2 weeks from now. We would recommend that we award the bid to Thale, that we amend our rate increase program, and we also issued new debt for $26 million. Now, with this, looking at the rate increases, we did work with Chris Eckert, our rate consultant, to see what is this likely to do for our forecasted step increases for the rates. And so I've given you a table in your packet here that shows the current rate structure that we currently have approved, as well as the proposed rate increase structure in order to fund another $26 million in bond for Phase 1. Again, this is not including Phase 2 yet. We will have to cross that bridge when we get to that point. But as you see here, as you're going along here, obviously we've already implemented 4 increases. The most recent being a few days ago, October 1st. We did a 3.75 increase a few days ago for our sewer rates. The next scheduled increase for the current program was April 1st of 2023, about 6 months from now, a 3.75. In order to fund the $26 million bond, we will have to do a rate increase January 1st of 9%, and then again April 23rd of 9%. In order to start getting our revenue up to where it needs to be. And then October 1st of 2023, a year from now, instead of a 3.75 increase, we look at a 7.5% increase. So these are very unfortunate numbers to look at, but again, unfortunately, this is what's needed in this economy to get this project done. So with this, I do want to provide some hope here. I'm going to read this part out of here because I want everyone to hear this and as I wrote it here. So I recognize that this is bleak. This is a bleak and daunting challenge for our citizens to take on. While it could be easy to once again kick this can down the road, we would face a much greater chance of making this worse than better. I think the proof is as we're seeing today. But while we are facing this great expense today, there is indeed hope in the very near future of some potential relief coming our way. As you will recall, and this is all public information as seen through our previous city council meetings, through our agenda packets, what things that the city council has approved and worked hard to approve. We have many housing, retail, and economic development projects in the works and on the horizon. If followed through on, will serve to spread this burden out. Our planned project has built-in capacity. We're using about 4.5 MGD, and the plan would be about 7.25, so there is available capacity there to grow within. Therefore, until we grow to the point that TCEQ requires us to expand our plant, we have some available capacity to add more customers on. This bid is in essence a fixed amount, barring any unexpected, unforeseen issues going on. So it's not going to grow. This bid isn't going to grow because we add more customers. So with any fixed amount, the more it can be spread out, the cheaper it becomes to any one individual funding source. In this situation, the ratepayer. The key is adding more chairs to the table. The more chairs we add to the expense, the cheaper it becomes for everyone. They spread the cost out across more people. To this point, we have the following projects in one stage or another of development. This has been hard work that my staff have performed, EDC has performed, and many others have performed. and particularly the council has performed to do this. We have numerous 5-and-5 housing agreements in the works, signed and in the works. We have the Forsberg Estates project that's working in that direction. Apartment complex at the driving range, Westgate Apartments, Shagoda Foundation, Senior Citizen Tax Credit Project, Cunningham Townhome Project, Home Program, numerous Chapter 380 agreements we have signed, and we have more potential coming in the way. We have projects like Harbor Freight, HTO, Farmers Bank, Taco Bueno, and many others that are coming to our community. We have several industry prospects looking at Paris. Then we've also our water line extension redundancy project in the Gene Stallings Park sets us up for more growth over there. I'm confident I have left many things off here, and there are some things I know not far along. But from this, I would like to point out that we have hundreds of new housing units and several new retail and industrial entities in the works, all of which will be added to the family of Paris to help spread out the cost of this project. This does not mean that today's residents or ratepayers will see rates drop down to what it was before the project. It would take substantially more customers to do that. But I do think this will provide some much-needed hope and relief that if these projects were to go forward and be done, this development here will add more chairs to this table and spread this cost out across more payers. Their addition will, of course, bring forth additional operational costs, chemicals, electricity, and so forth to treat the added water. But there is economy of scale that allows their additional funding to strengthen our utility financially while including a bond component to their rate that will have a direct positive impact to our existing ratepayers by spreading our fixed debt payment across more payers. So I hope this information provides some comfort. I know it doesn't help today because obviously these projects are either in the works in some stages or still have to be signed, but there's many great things we have on the horizon in Paris. And so the City Council has done an excellent job through their policies, through the decisions they've made, to set us up for growth. And again, the more growth we have, the cheaper this becomes for our individual ratepayers. So I'd like to encourage everyone out there in the community, anyone who has access to, who has the means of bringing development to our community, to please do so. Paris is known as a city of resiliency. We have survived many fires. We have survived many tornadoes. Although this is not a natural disaster, this is still a significant issue that we can prove ourselves resilient once again and come together to make this happen. And so with that, I would encourage City Council to get through consensus tonight. We will bring back to you the 24th to award the bid for Thale. We will bring back a rate ordinance to increase the rates to meet our debt requirements. And we will also bring back documents to issue a new bond to fund this project. With that, I will answer any questions you have.
Well, I don't have a question. I just want to emphasize the fact that this is not just a project that the city and council wanted to do. This is something that's required. This is something that has to happen. And, unfortunately, it's going to fall on the back of all of us as citizens, but there is hope that we'll have relief in the future. But as of right now, we have to do this.
Yes.
Well, and to piggyback off of what you're saying, Mr. Savage, now we need to double down. We really have to double down on housing. We've got to double down on development. We've got to have more power there. And, I will credit you. You have done an impeccable job in your defense there of this project. If there is anyone that is looking to develop or knows developers, bring them out. Our community is growing. I think that it is a community-wide effort. We need to continue, but in order for us to be able to fund this, and not just fund this, but to see this through for decades to come, we have got to see more housing and more grassroots movement to be rooted in the ground and say, hey, we have the power here in our community to live here and to own our property. And so that's huge. And as you stated, there's a lot of businesses, a lot of opportunity coming. That's good. We got to continue that. So. This is many sleepless nights, I know, for the staff, and I know for council for sure. But this is unfortunately something we've got to do, and we got to go forward.
I'm very proud of this council and the council 2 years ago, I believe, when we started trying to get a firm to do the design, because we were tired of the can being kicked down the road. It's overdue, and we must do what we have to do. All right?
Thank
I
you.
think that's direction for the staff. Thank you both. Item number 11, discuss and act on meeting dates for November and December. Ms. Ellis?
Okay, it's that time of year. Usually we cancel the second meetings in November and December because of holidays and scheduling, and the fact that you all have had a lot of extra meetings in August and September. So we're recommending that you cancel those two meetings, the last one in November, then the last one in December. That is November 28th and December the 26th.
Finally, an easy item.
A happy item, right?
All right, any discussion? I'll hear a motion.
A motion that we cancel the November 28th and December 26th regular city council meetings.
All right, and a second, please?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 12, discuss an agreement with Greater Paris Development Foundation regarding access to the 4th Street Southwest Lift Station Road for inclusion in the Southeast Texas Trail and provide direction to staff.
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, again, looking for direction for staff tonight. We've been talking with Greater Paris Development Foundation, specifically Pat Bassano, about closing a 3-mile gap in the Northeast Texas Trail that does run through the city of Paris. And one of those options would include a roadway to Woodard's Lift Station. It's approximately 0.35 miles, and they would like to pursue this option. Staff has met with them again. We have no objection. We think it would be good to be able to add to that trail, but we also want to make sure that we have continued access for that trail for the foreseeable future. So they would like just a show of support so they can go through with some land acquisition. That could be a timely process, could be a costly process. We're hoping it's not for them, so the trail can be completed. But we're just looking, staff is just looking for direction so we can work with them to bring back an agreement that, for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Vine. Any discussion? I would say they're a good partner for our community. I'd be in favor of sharing that road.
Same.
Great, thank you.
There's your direction. Thank you. Item number 13, convene into executive session pursuant to A, Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney to receive legal advice from the city attorney about 1, pending or contemplated litigation, and/or 2, on matters in which the duty of an attorney to her client under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflict with this chapter, to wit, Carrico versus City of Paris. B, Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code, to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee as follows: annual evaluation of the city manager. Item C, Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code, to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee as follows: annual evaluation of the city attorney. The time is 7:35 p.m., and the city council will now convene into executive session. Sorry, 6:35, thank you. It is 8 o'clock. And I don't have a call there with it. The time is 8 p.m. and City Council is now in open session. Item number 13A requires no action by the council. 13C requires no action. Item B, I will hear a motion to provide the city manager the 2% COLA.
So moved.
And a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That passes 5-0. Item number 15, consider and approve future events for city council or city staff. Anyone have
Mayor, I know that the evaluation committee is working with the judge to tack down the final date. I know he had a prior arrangement that he had to take care of for the next meeting, and so I think that we're going to have to postpone that evaluation maybe to that next meeting. So I just wanted to be transparent and let the council know. And if anyone has not turned in their evaluation for the judge, please turn that in.
Isn't there a
Thank-
Chamber of Commerce banquet coming up that we were?
I think on the 25th.
Yeah, we'll need a possible quorum posted on that, and you won't need to put the judge's evaluation on the next meeting.
Yeah, the next meeting, not the,
Put it at
Two
the
meetings.
first meeting in November, perhaps.
yeah. And I'll get back with you on that, Janice. Yes.
The only meeting in
The only
November.
meeting.
Oh, yes.
It's the only meeting in November.
Oh, the only meeting in November, yes. All right. I'll hear a motion for adjournment and a second. All in favor, say aye. Adjourn.